Tamar vatad kadala shokes, Vatmara isha vatar sategel isha. So if we skip down to the next paragraph, again, these are just examples from psukim of all the different avos and imos going ahead and when engaging in dynamic activity, doing it quickly. V'sira, sha'adam asher tilat nafsho ba'avolas baro, Vadai shalo, page Ayin Zayin, Yisatzel ba'asiyas mitzvosov, Elatiya tinu aso kitinuas ha'ish hamehira, kilo yanuach v'lo yishkot ad imim kilo hadavar lahashlimo. And you see over here that a person whose neshama, a person whose soul is tilhat. Tilhat means lahat, right? Lahat means with speed. A person who goes ahead and has this midah of zrizus and has this inner sense of what we'll call this inner alacrity, right? This inner zeal. So when he starts something, he's not going to stop until he finishes it. Va'amnam, his bonin od shekemosha zrizus hitoledes haislatus apnimi, kain min zrizus yivalet haislatus. This is incredible. Says Ramchal, we know that the midah of zrizus is an external manifestation of an inner zeal. Or who is a person who is zoriz? A person who has the Ramchal says in an ideal world, the way it starts is you have an inner sense of zrizos. There's an inner lahat. There's an inner zeal. There's an inner eagerness to go ahead and accomplish something, and that manifests itself in a behavioral way that whatever I'm going to do, whatever I'm going to start it, and I'm going to be quick to complete it. V'hainu, kimisha margish atzmo ma'aseh mitzvah kimo shu b'mar tenuaso achitzona, kain hine gorem shetevar bo tenuaso pnimis, kimo kain v'achishek v'achefetz yiskarbra bo v'yelech. So this is incredible. He says, we know that a person ultimately, again, let me just read more line. Yisnai bichvedus b'tenuas evarav gam tenuas rucho tishaka v'tichabe v'davar zeh shanisayin yedius. We'll say this is an incredible idea. So what Ramchal is saying is there are two different ways to arrive at zrizus. So perhaps the classic way, and again, it's not better or worse, just when you think about it, the classic way is that it starts from the inside and it goes out. In other words, that I begin with an internal feeling of zrizus, an internal feeling that I'm eager to accomplish, eager to do. And whatever I start, I'm going to make sure that I finish as quickly as possible. And that manifests itself in behavior. What happens, however, if halacha l'maisa, a person doesn't have that inner sense of zeal? Right? Inside, I'm quite tired. Right? Inside, I'm very happy staying still. Inside, I have absolutely no need to run around. So the Ramchal says, there, you flip it. Allow your actions to inform your feelings. Bless you. Allow your actions to inform your feelings. That if you act in a zoriz fashion, right? If you engage in behavioral zrizus, ultimately, again, you will come to the level of emotional zrizus. So both say this is a well-known concept. The Sefer HaChinuch really is the one who kind of gives this, codifies this with the verbiage of acharei ha'peulos nimshachos halevavos, that again, actions inform feelings. Actions inform emotions. Actions inform spiritual awareness. This is an incredible idea. See, if you have classic zrizus, where you have an inner feeling of zeal and alacrity you want to accomplish, fantastic. That'll manifest itself behaviorally. But if you don't have that inner feeling, then at the end of the day, make sure to act with zrizus, and your actions will inform the way you feel. Both say such an incredible idea. We don't realize this, and this is such a powerful yesod in so many areas of life. Because sometimes, and I feel say this happens all the time. Person says, I'm just not inspired. I'm just not feeling it. So what do you tell a person like that? Or when I say person, it's a friend. It's not me. I have a friend who feels this way, right? So I say, so what do I say to my friend? I say to my friend, I'm going to give you the most counterintuitive answer that you could have thought of. You know what the answer is? If you're not feeling it, do more. Do more. That's the answer. You want to be inspired? engage in inspired activity. Because even if you do not feel inspired inside, if you engage in behavioral inspiration, engage in behaviors which are supposed to create inspiration, and even though you don't feel it inside, your actions will inform your behavior. Such an incredible yesod. You want better shalom bayis with your wife? Better shalom bayis with your wife? You know what you do? You paste a smile on your face, and you be as nice as you possibly can, even when you don't feel it. Isn't that fake? And the answer is 1,000% it is. 100%, but 1,000%. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to go ahead and engage in the right behaviors in order to go ahead and influence the way that you feel. He goes on, V'hu masha David HaMelech mishala b'chalko atov v'omer ka'ayal tarog al afike mayim kei nafshi tarog elecha elokim sama nafshi elokim lekel chai masay avo ve'ira p'nei elokim. He quotes another pasuk, V'ulam ha'adam. So he quotes where David HaMelech comes from a perspective, ultimately, again, of feeling it inside, right? His soul pines for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when the soul pines, then obviously that's going to manifest itself in behavior. V'ulam, ha'adam asher einachem dahazos lahetes bokaroi. But let's say again, I'm not David HaMelech, right? And I can't say, Tzama nafshi le'elokim. I don't know. I woke up this morning and the only thing Tzama nafshi is for my pillow, right? That's the only thing Tzama nafshi. I have no Tzama nafshi le'elokim, no Tzama nafshi. I love everybody here, but again, I'd much rather be doing something else. I don't have that. So says Ramchal, so what do you do? Person who doesn't feel it that same way, because it is external action which awakens internal feeling. Listen to this phrase, but this will have to stop. Rabbi say this is incredible. It says, I want to tell you a secret. It is much easier to control what you do than it is to control how you feel. So again, there are people, Rabbi say, out there, like David HaMelech type people, who are able to say, Tzama nafshi le'elokim. I feel it. So for them, Zrizus begins inside and goes out. But for many of us, that's not the way Zrizus starts. That's not the way most things in our Avodas Hashem start. But the Ramchal says it's okay. Engage in the right kind of activities. And at the end of the day, the feelings will come. The Tzama nafshi le'elokim will come. You just have to act and engage in the right kind of behaviors. And it says the Ramchal, because understand, to control how you act and to control what you do is always much easier than to control how you feel. My actions are something that I could demonstrate shlita over, dominion over now. Feelings, it's a bit more difficult. Well, so we'll stop over here, and what I'm going to do is it's just a few more lines to the end of the parak, but we have to start the daf. I'm going to record till the end of the parak, because the truth is we're not going to be having Mesilas Yesharim until Tuesday. Tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, and then Monday, legal holiday. So I'll record to the end of the parak. We'll begin Emirat Hashem on Tuesday. Oh, it's Shabbos Sunday. Wonderful. See you tomorrow, Emirat Hashem. Excellent. Good. Thank you. It's not... Yes, remind me at the end. Thank you, Greg. All right, Rabbosai, good morning. Let's begin. A lot to do today. Today's daf is Daf Ches. Baruch Hashem, to thank our sponsors, Maya Hoffman for dedicating a week of learning in memory of our father Ruvain Ben Emmanuel, Ed and Faith Wolf for dedicating a week of learning in honor of the yahrzeit of Ed's father, Cyrus Wolf, Shalom Ben Tzvi, an anonymous sponsorship in the merit of a Refuah Shlema for Shulamis Bas Susha, and our Talmud Torah sponsor for the month of Av, Yonah and Shishi Ehrenfeld, in memory of Yonah's grandfather, Joseph Ehrenfeld, Yosef ben Shmuel, Zichron Livracha. We were mostly with that. Let's begin. So we are in the middle of Zayin Amud Beis. Again, literally a lot to do today, but in Meretz Hashem, we're gonna be good. Yesh mevios karban v'necha, yesh mevios karban v'eino necha. Both say this karban yoleves. Woman gives birth, she has to bring a carbon after a certain amount of time. We're actually going to discuss the details of the timeline of that carbon in the next Mishnah. But there are some times that a woman brings the carbon and it is consumed. V'yesh mevios carbon ve'inonecha. Sometimes it's brought and it's not consumed. V'yesh no mevios. And sometimes a woman, even after a birth, does not bring a carbon at all. Let's go. Mevios carbon ve'inonecha. What's the case of a woman who brings a carbon and it's consumed? Hamapelas kimin behema chayiv va'oftiru merabo. So these are actually sugyas in Meseches Nida, which we will discuss. If a woman miscarries and the embryo has the appearance of a behema, a chaya, and an oaf, Rabbi Meir says you still go ahead and bring a carbon for that. The Chachamim say that in order to go ahead and bring a carbon, the embryo itself has to have a human form. Hamapelas sandal, woman miscarries, saying that has the appearance literally of a sandal of a shoe. O shilya, or just simply again a placenta. O shafir merugam, or literally shafir merugam literally means developed embryo. Vayotze mechutach, or if the embryo comes out in pieces. V'chin shivcha she'epila, so too if a shivcha kinanis miscarried. All of these cases, mevia carbon v'necha. A woman brings a carbon yoledes, and the carbon is consumed. Ve'elu mevios ve'elu nechalos. Here are the cases of a woman who brings a carbon but it's not consumed. Hamapelas ve'niyadua mahipila. If a woman gives birth, she literally miscarries. She miscarries and she does not know what she miscarried. What does this mean? That she miscarried and for some reason the miscarriage itself is lost. So meaning we're not able to identify, did she miscarry the type of fetus that would render her liable to a carbon or not. Two women who were together, both miscarried. One of them miscarried a type of fetus that would require a carbon. One of them miscarried a type of fetus that would not require a carbon. The problem is that what Rabbi say, we don't know who miscarried what. So what's the halacha? Rabbi Yossi, if they separated, we'll see in the Gemara what their din is. But if both of them were standing together, in other words, they did not separate, both of them bring a carbon, and the carbon is consumed. Again, we'll discuss the details of that case in the Gemara. These are the women who did not bring any type of carbon because their leida is not considered to be a halachic leida. Hamapeles shafir mali mayim. A woman who goes ahead and gives birth to a amniotic sac that is filled with water. Mali dam, filled with blood. Mali geninim, Rashi says, is gvanim, different colored liquid. Hamapeles, Shabbos say in all of these cases, there's no evidence of an embryo there. So the Gemara says, Hamapeles come in dogim. Woman gives birth and looks like a fish. Chagavim, shkatzim, ramosim, hamapeles yom arboim. Woman who goes ahead and miscarries on day 40. Because remember again, Rabbi said this is a different halacha, that within the first 40 days of pregnancy, the pregnancy is not considered to be a pregnancy. The Gemara says it's maya ba'alma. It's just water. Vayotze dofen, a woman who gives birth C-section, so ultimately again does not bring a carbon. Rabbi Shimon says no, even when we gave birth, C-section has to bring a carbon. Good, says the Gemara. Shifcha minalan. Both say, how do I know that a shifcha kinanis has to bring a carbon yoledes? To which the Gemara says, how do I know that a shifcha has to bring a carbon yoledes? So the Gemara says, the Tan Rabbana b'nei Yisrael, ainli ela b'nei Yisrael, giyoretz a shivcha minayin tamalomar isha. Well, say because again, the word isha teaches me that any woman, even a shivcha kinanis, goes ahead and brings a carbon yoledes. My v'chin shivcha kinanis. I both say now it's interesting. A shivcha kinanis has the same halachas as a Jewish woman. So why would you think that a shivcha kinanis doesn't bring a carbon? When we say that any mitzvah that a woman is obligated in, an eved kinani has the same halachas. When is that? I might have thought that only applies to mitzvos that apply to both men and women. But when it comes to, of course, carbon yoledes, which only applies to men, not to women, I would have thought that a shivcha kinanis would be potter. Therefore, the Gemara comes to teach you that no, shivcha kinanis is in fact chayiv in carbon yoledes. Good. Elam avian carbon. My avdin. So both say, remember again, this is the case of the two women who both miscarried. One miscarried in a way that would make her chayv a carbon, one miscarried in a way that would make her pater. Now what happens? So the Gemara says, my avdin, what should they do? So maisin tarvayu chad carbon, vadai v'chatas of safek, umasni. So together they bring one carbon, right? Comprised that, also remember again, the carbon yoledes is two birds. One is a chatas, and one is an ola. So what they do is as follows, or shlomo, what they do is as follows. For the chatas, they bring a vade chatas, because one of them is, because again, remember, in this case, one of them is chayiv a carbon, right? Remember, you can't bring a chatas misafek, you can only bring a chatas vadai. And of safek, the other carbon they can bring out safek, umasni, and they say as follows. So say umasni means they make a tanai. What's the tanai? One of us is chayiv in this carbon. Whoever is chayiv in this carbon should go to satisfy her obligation. Me is the Rabbi Yossi tina. Does Rabbi Yossi hold of tinaim of conditional karbanos? Vatnan Rabbi Shimon Omer Mevin Shtein Chatas Achos. Rabbi Yossi Omer Ein Shtein Mevin Chatas Achos. Shabbos again. Rabbi Yossi says quite explicitly that what that halacha lamaisa you can't bring conditional karbanos, or I should say at least a conditional chatos. Amar Rabbi Yossi less late tina. Amarava Mod Rabbi Yossi b'mechusar kapara. Rabbi Yossi agrees halacha l'maisa with a certain type of chatas. So we've seen this already now for the last couple of days, and we're going to get into this more today. There are different types of chatas offerings. Sometimes the chatas is brought for a sin, right? That's the paradigmatic case of chatas. Sometimes the chatas is brought in order to allow one to ultimately either enter into the Beis HaMikdash or partake of karbanos. That's called mechusar kapara. So Yoledis is a perfect example of that. Yoledis brings a chatos. What did she do wrong? Absolutely nothing. So why is she bringing a chatos? That chatos ultimately again allows her to go ahead and enter into the Beis HaMikdash and subsequently partake of sacrificial items. So even Rabbi Yossi holds that you can't bring a chatos with a t'nai. That's when what? It's a chatos for chait. But over here, when it's a chatos, ultimately again for mechusar kapara, that'll be okay. My time. So even Rabbi Yossi agrees that with mechusar kapara, you can bring a chatos with a tinai. My timer, hasam by gavri yedia. Dichsiv o hodai lav chataso hilchach lo sinon. Aval hacha kimasyon nashin karbelish darei b'achilas kachim kidetani seifa dahahi Rabbi Yossi Omer kol chata shiba al chet ein shtayim avinosa. So we'll say Rabbi Yossi makes a fundamental distinction. When you are bringing a carbon for a chatas for a chet, there has to be absolute knowledge about who is bringing it, right, and what you're bringing it for. That's the lashon of the pasuk of ohoda. If it became known, that's a din in chatas that is brought for sin. So therefore, again, Rabbi Yossi says in the chatas that is brought for sin, halacha lemaisa, you cannot go ahead and have any ambiguity. A chatas that is brought from a chusar kapara, even Rabbi Yossi will agree that what? You can bring it with a tinai. So if in this case, the two women who gave birth, one is chayiv, one is not, they can bring a joint chatas and stipulate, one of us is chayiv. We don't know which one. Whichever one is, at the end of the day, whichever one is, this coverage should satisfy their obligation. Beautiful. Says the Gemara, Elu Shein Mevi'in, Rabbi Shimon Silber. Was the last machlokes in the Mishnah was about a C-section. A C-section. So also remember again, Rabbi Shimon says the woman who gives a C-section is chayiv karban yoledes. Other Tanakama said not. My time is Rabbi Shimon. Amrei Shakish Amarkra in the keva teled. The pasuk says in the keva teled. The rabbos laid the acheres. They both say the word teled is extra. It could have just said the in the keva, because the pasuk had already said teled ultimately again earlier in the pasuk. So you have an extra teled, teaches me again to go ahead and give me another type of birth. What's the other type of birth for which a woman will be chayiv in a karban yolad? That's mahi yotzei dofen. C-section. C-section. The Rabbanan my time. Why did the Rabbanan say no karban yolad is for a C-section? So the Gemara says. The Gemara says, Amramani bar Partish, Isha kitazriya v'yalda. The pasuk says, woman will become pregnant and she will give birth. Ad sheteled b'makom shemizaras, until she goes ahead and gives birth from the same way that she became pregnant. Shabbos says, so the connection, the juxtaposition between pregnancy and birth indicates to me that the same way pregnancy occurs is the same way birth occurs, and that ultimately, again, is when there is a chiyuv for a carbon. Shabbos, and we paskin halacha l'maisa, the Ramban paskin is like the Rabbanon, that a woman is only chiyuv for a carbon yoledes, if she delivered naturally. If it is a C-section, there is an obligation for Karban Yoledes. Good. Says the Mishnah, another incredible case. Gemara is so good. Another incredible case, we'll say, which is what? This is talking about a case of where a woman gave birth to a girl. So the halacha, so a woman gives birth to a girl, there are 14 days of tumah and 66 days of tara. I will say this is an incredibly dramatic biblical halacha that we no longer, it's not that we don't observe it today, it's that the laws of Nida and Zava contemporarily have really merged together. But on a biblical level, a woman gives birth to a girl, she is Tameh for 14 days. For the next 66 days, she is Tahora, which means that even if she bleeds, that is called Dam Tohar. It's called Dam Tohar, halacha l'maisa. So therefore the Gemara says over here, say after those 66 days, what happens? That's when she brings, now she's tar, but ultimately again, she cannot come into the Beis HaMikdash. This is an example of a chatas. We just said before, she brings a chatas, so she brings two birds or two animals, two karbanos, at the end of her Leida period, that allows her ultimately to come into the Beis HaMikdash. Okay? That's what we're talking about over here. So we'll say, so now in our case over here, a woman, hamapelas li or shmonim ve'echad, dramatic case. A woman miscarries on the night of night 81. So remember again, so the 80 days have completed, right? On the 81st day, her intention is what? She's coming to the Beis HaMikdash to bring her Karban Yoledes. What happens on that night, the night before? So let's say for argument's sake, day 80 was Wednesday. Thursday, today, she's going to the Beis HaMikdash, she's going to go ahead and bring her Karbanos. Last night, she has another miscarriage. So we'll say, so what's going to be the Shaila? What's going to be the Shaila? How many Karbanos Leida is she chayiv for? Is she chayiv 2 Karbanos Leida? One for the initial birth, one for the miscarriage. Now, assuming it was the type of miscarriage for which she'd be chayiv a Karban Leida. Or do we say that since she has not yet brought her Karban for the first Leida, that Karban that she's going to bring today or whenever will cover both births? That's the fundamental shayla. So here we go. So Beis Shammai potrin mina Karban. Beis Shammai says she does not have to bring another Karban, a second Karban. Rabbi says she has to bring the first, she doesn't have to bring a second. Beis Hillel mechayvin, and Beis Hillel says no, you have to bring the Karban. Amru Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. So Beis Hillel says Beis Shammai, I don't understand. Ma'ishna ar shmonim ve'echad miyom shmonim ve'echad. So I don't understand why is it any different? So we'll say just so you understand. Just to understand Shitas Beis Shammai a little bit. So Shitas Beis Shammai ultimately is that halacha l'maisa, since that the nighttime she could not have brought her Karban Leida, the night 81. So Beis Shammai says that she has not yet entered into the period of carbonic permissibility. Because she has not yet entered into the period of carbonic permissibility, the miscarriage is going to be covered by the Karban Leida. Beis Hillel disagrees with that premise. Beis Hillel holds that once she has left day 80, she's in the realm of carbonic permissibility, entered into the period of melosime tara. She's at the end of that period. That period has ended, and therefore any subsequent miscarriage or birth will be reckoned separately. So Beis Hillel says to Beis Shammai, I don't understand, why is night 81 different from day 81? If it's treated the same way Lagabi Tumah, so we'll say if it's treated the same way Lagabi Tumah, then ultimately again it should be treated. So if she were to go ahead and bleed, right, ultimately on night 81, that would no longer be Dam Tohar, that would be regular, well, it could be either Dam Nida or Dam Ziva, depending on the time of the month. But the point is, it would be Tamei blood. So too again, Lo Yishrael Karban. So too, there should be carbonic liability as well. Amr lo Beis Shammai imamarta b'maharlas yom shmona ve'achad shekein yotza l'sha shiruya lahavi b'karban. Beis Shammai says, here's the difference. If she miscarries on day 81, she has already what? She has already entered into a period of time in which it is technically permissible for her to bring her Karban. Once it is permissible for her to bring her Karban, the first period has come to an end, and therefore any subsequent miscarriage is going to be reckoned separately. But if she bleeds on night 81, she has not yet entered into the period of carbonic permissibility. Because of that, any subsequent miscarriage should be covered under the first Karban. Amar lahen Beis Hillel, v'lo hamapelas yom shmona ve'echad shechalios b'Shabbos tochiach. So Beis Hillel says, let me give you the following case. What about when day 81 falls out on Shabbos? So let's say what happens when day 81 falls out on Shabbos? She can't bring her carbon on Shabbos. Yet what? So obviously she can't bring her carbon. But yet, chayeves carbon. Yet you would agree if she were to miscarry on day 81, that's what? That she should have to bring a second carbon yoledes. Amar lehem Beis Shammai lo. Im amartem yom shmona ve'echad shechalios b'Shabbos she'af al pi she'en arei lekarbon yochid, arei lekarbon sibor. Tomar ha'palas lo ar shmonim ve'echad she'ein halayla lo ra'i lo lekarbon yochid ve'lo lekarbon sibor. Beis Shammai says apples and oranges. Day 81, even if it falls out on Shabbos, as much as she can't bring her carbon, it is what? It is a day that is shaykh to karbanos. Night 81 is not shaykh to karbanos at all. And you can't bring a raya from if she bleeds on night 81. Why? Because I'll say even a woman who miscarries within the Yemei Tohar, ultimately again the blood is tamei. We'll see what that means, but yet she is still patur from the carbon. So we'll say bottom line, fundamental machlokes. Here's what we know: woman is give birth of a girl. Woman is tamei for 14 days. Tahar, dam tohar for 66 days. At 80 days in total. At the end of that 80-day period on day 81, she brings a carbon. It could be after day 81, but starting day 81, she has liability to bring a carbon yolades. What happens if she miscarries again, meaning a second birth on night 81? So we'll say the fundamental shaila is she has not yet brought her carbon for the first birth. Does the carbon of the first birth cover the miscarriage or not? Fundamental machlokes. Beis Shammai says you are pater. Pater means pater from a second carbon. The first carbon goes in and covers the second. Why? I will say essentially Beis Shammai's logic is because the second miscarriage, or called the second birth, is considered to have occurred within the period of the first one. Why? Because since she has not yet entered into a time of carbonic permissibility, which really begins on day 81, therefore the second birth will be covered by the carbon of the first. Beis Hillel says not true. Once day 80 ends, that is the end of that birth period, and anything that happens after day 80, even if it's night 81, where you can't yet bring a carbon, at the end of the day is reckoned as a new separate birth, and therefore Beis Hillel would say she is chayeves ultimately again in a second carbon. Good. Top of ches. Today's daf. Tanya, Amr lehem Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Hareyu omer o libas. L'rabos or shmonim ve'echas. So we'll say Beis Hillel says Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel dashins a pasuk. The Gemara is you're supposed to have in there the O. That's the little aleph there. To add in the O. The bach adds in O. O lebas. So we'll say O is a ribui. So O lebas comes to teach you that what? L'rabos or shmonim ve'echad. An interesting drasha. O comes to teach me that halacha l'maisa. If she miscarries night 81, that is its own additional obligation. A second carbon yoledes. Rabbi Oshia was an interesting story. Rabbi Oshia hayashchiach kanei de bar kafra. Rabbi Oshia used to learn by bar kafra. Shavkei va'asei kanei de Rabbi Chia. Something happened, and he left bar kafra as his Rebbe, and he went to learn before Rabbi Chia. Switched Rebbeim. Yom achad pagabei. So we'll say one day. So Rabbi Oshia ran into Bar Kafra, his former Rebbe. So he said, Rebbe, Zav Shira Gimor Ios Belel Chas Ma. What happens if a Zav has 3 emissions on the 8th night? What is the halacha? Supposed to remember again, a Zav who has 3 emissions has to observe Shiva Nekiyim, 7 clean days. So we'll say, so what happens if after the 7, so he observes 7 clean days, so let's say again the next day technically would bring his carbon. What happens if halacha l'maisa on night 8 he has 3 emissions? What happens there? What would Beis Hillel say about this? So on one hand, I could say Tamai de Beis Hillel Palas Balayla. So on one hand, Beis Hillel Shita, if one miscarries on night 81, Mishum Dechsev O Lebas, because there's a drasha, right? Beis Hillel quotes a pasuk. The O is a ribui. Aval Zav Shira Gimorios Balel Ches Patri Delo Miasri Krai. But again, when it comes to Zav, there's no such pasuk. So maybe again, Abosai, if a Zav has 3 emissions on night number 8, the truth is it doesn't generate any new liability because he's just covered under the previous period of zivus. Oh, Dilma Loshna. Or maybe the svara is the svara. That just like Beis Hillel holds says that a woman who miscarries on night 81, it's reckoned on its own. So too if a zav has 3 re'iyas on night number 8, those are reckoned on their own as well. So Amrle Bar Kafra Ma Bavli Omer B'Davar Zeh. So both say this actually gets a little bit dramatic. So Bar Kafra. So both say in the Hagos V'Tziyunim they have a little bit of a different version, but it's fine. We'll just stick with the Gemara. So Bar Kafra says Raboshe. So what does the Babylonian say about this? Now the Babylonian is a reference to Rabbi Chia. So Bar Kafra was a bit braggis with his Talmud. He's like, what are you asking me? Right? Go ask the Babylonian. Go ask your Rebbe. You left the shir. You left my yeshiva. Go ask your Rebbe. So the Gemara says, "My Bavi on B'davar Zeh ishtik Raboshia lo Amar Klum." So Raboshia didn't say anything. Amrli Bar Kafra tzrichin l'divrei iyah. So Amrli Bar Kafra. So Bar Kafra said to him, "I guess we need the words of Rabbi Chia." Rashi says Rabbi Chia is ubalashon gnai. He called him iyah. Right, iyah was a little bit of like a shtach. So Bar Kafra was braggis with Raboshia for leaving. Which I will say, by the way, is an incredibly. You have to wonder, like, why does the Gemara tell this story? Like, it doesn't seem like a very favorable story about Bar Kafra. I will say it's an incredible insight, which is people have feelings, right? And even great people have feelings, and even leaders have feelings, right? And again, it's interesting. Sometimes we think that great people are like above the simple feelings of just being hurt or being offended. Even great people get offended. So the Gemara goes right to so we'll say, let's go back and let's analyze. How are you, Omer? So we'll say, so again, at the end of the day, we have a shaila, right? What happens to the Zava night number 8 who has 3 re'iyas? So let's go. So the Gemara says, Nachshal al Rishonos, how are you, Omer? Oh, the Bas Rabos Roshon of Echad. So let's remember again, here's what we know. What we know is that if a woman miscarries on night number 81, that halach lamaisa, according to Beis Hillel, she has to bring a separate second carbon. Now, again, amazingly enough, what is that based on? Halach lamaisa, that is based on a pasuk. So both say seems to be that's a machlokes tanoim. Kitanoi zoshra gemuriyas palel ches. Here we go. A zav sees 3 re'iyos on night number 8. Tanachada maybe. Tanichada maybe. So I'll say one Tana says he has to bring a carbon. V'tanya idach eno maybe. Second Tana says he has to bring a carbon. So we'll say, but Pashas, what this means is one opinion is saying what? One mean he has to bring a carbon. What does that mean? A second carbon. And the other time it says he doesn't bring a second carbon. Ma'ila Tanahi is not a machlokes on Disanya, maybe, the Had Disanya maybe. So the one who says he has to bring a second carbon, Kasavar Laila in Mukhusar Zmanhu. He will hold both say that Laila in Mukhusar. What that means is like this. They both say that even though you can't bring a carbon at night, once you arrive at the calendrical day, which has carbonic permissibility, even though I can't yet bring the carbon until daybreak, that's not called mechusar zman. That's not called a person who is time deficient. So what that means is, already comes the night, even though I can't yet offer the carbon, I'm in the parsha of the carbon already. So the one who says that you have to bring, he holds that Laila is not mechusar zman, which therefore means what? Once night 8 comes, what's the status of that zav? What's his status? It's done. The first zivus is done. So when he has 3 more emissions that night, Mazel Tov, you're a zav gadol again, right? You're zav gadol again. So v'hadasanya ein mevi kasavar laila mechusar zman, and the one who says you don't bring a carbon if you had 3 re'iyas on night number 8 holds that ultimately again laila is mechusar zman, because it's mechusar zman. Therefore, what? The first zav period has not closed out yet, and therefore the 3 subsequent re'iyos on night number 8 are counted as part of the original period of zivus. Amar Rav Huna Barach, Amar Rav Elazar, Hani Tanoi Savri Laila Mechusar Zman. It's not true. Allah says the truth is everyone agrees that Laila is Mechusar Zman. V'hod Sanya maybe. So why does the opinion say that if the Zav had 3 re'iyos on night number 8 that he has to bring another carbon? Bizav Bal Beis re'iyos. Oh, this talking about a Zav who only had 2 emissions. So we'll say now he has to, that makes him a Zav Gadol. V'hod Sanya a maybe. Bezav Bal Gimel Re'iyos. And the one who says that he doesn't bring, that's talking about a Zav who already had 3 Re'iyos, and therefore again, Laila is Mukhusr Zman, and when he had 3 more Re'ios on night number 8, those 3 don't move the needle at all. Zav Bal Beis Re'ios Maila Memra, I don't understand. So you're telling me now that if a person had 2 emissions, and then he had 3 more emissions, that he has to bring a carbon? Okay, that's obvious. Right? You're supposed to say that's the halacha of Zav. Right? If you have 2 emissions, there's one halacha. If you have 3 emissions, there's another halacha. So Maila Memra, you need to tell me this. Hakam Ashalon. Ooh, because what's the case here, Rabbi say? When is the third, in this case, 3rd, 4th, and 5th emissions happening? The 4th and 5th don't really matter, but when is the 3rd emission happening, Rabbi say? When? At night. On night number 8. Aval biyamama dezayin lo. But ultimately, again, on day number 7, it would not make him a Zav Gadol. Why not? Rabbi say, this is incredible. This kasaver kol re'iyah shesoseres eno maybe the day kar. Rabbi say, a word of background. Zav background. Zav background. Man has 1 emission. What's the halacha? Goes to the mikvah. Good to go. 2 emissions. Shiva Nekiyim. 7 clean days. 3 emissions. Shiva Nekiyim and a carbon. And the carbon. This is obviously not talking about seminal emissions. This is a Zav emission. Remember, Zav emissions are gauged, but we'll actually touch on it a little bit somewhere here. I think on next paragraph. Okay, so we'll say, so 3 emissions, 7 clean days, and a carbon. So also what the Gemara is saying over here is as follows. What's the novelty here? If a man had 2 emissions, right, and now the Bryce has said he has 3 more emissions on night number 8, he brings a carbon. What's the chiddush? What's the chiddush in that, Rabbi say? The chiddush is as follows. If he were to have those emissions during the 7 clean days that he was counting, what would be the halacha? So he would not bring a carbon in those circumstances. Why not? Because the novelty is any re'iyah that goes ahead and causes him to restart the 7 clean days, essentially ends the 7 clean days, but does not count towards the tally of re'iyas. So therefore, halacha l'maisa, the novelty over here is if he finished out the 7 clean days, but on the night of the 8th, night of the 8th, he had 3 more emissions. The Tana over here is saying those 3 more emissions ultimately again create a situation of Zav Gadol. Amarav, Mayu Kimta Lahadisanya, a maybe Bizav Balgimorios, Litinyana, Listnie Gabi Chamishim Avian Carbon, Echad al Averos Harbe. To which the Gemara says, Rava says, why are you going ahead and bringing up this case of the Zav who has 3 Re'ios? Why are you mentioning that case over here? Why don't you put it in the case of five different situations where you're able to bring 1 carbon on multiple Averos? We'll say we'll see that case. It's on Daf Tes. So the Gemara says lo psika, because that halacha was not absolute, because that list wasn't firmed up. Therefore, we didn't want to include that there. Rabbi Yochanan, ra achas balayla ubeis bayom. I'm sorry, this halacha was not firmed up. Why not? Rabbi Yochanan. Here we go. Ra achas balayla ubeis bayom. The man had 1 emission by day and 2 at night. Maybe. So both say. Did I say that wrong? Well, I'm sorry. 1 by night and 2 by day. Right? Achas balayla ubeis bayom. Maybe he brings a carbon. Beis balayla va'achas bayom. What happens if it was 2 at night and 1 by day? Ein maybe. So both say what the Gemara is just pointing out over here is that halacha l'maisa, we're going to see that when getting to the number 3, everybody agrees the number 3 triggers 7-day obligation plus karbanos. What we're not 100% sure about is what? Is if it makes a difference as to what time of day those re'ios occur. Amar Rabbi Yosef Teida, da'achas balaylo beis bayom mevi. So Rabbi Yosef says, I disagree. Rabbi Yosef says, even if halacha l'maisa, right? Even if halacha l'maisa, you had 2 by day. I'm sorry, 1 by night and 2 by day. Maybe dahar re'iyah rishona shichvas zera ba'ama. Rabbi Yosef is saying is as follows. I'll tell you how I know that 1 re'iyah at night could go ahead and be mitzdareh for 2 re'iyos by day. Because think about this. In general, with a zav, I will say when a man has that first emission, right? He's treated as what? Just shichvas zera. That's treated as a regular seminal emission. It's only when there are 1 or 2 more subsequent emissions that we go ahead and we recategorize that first emission as what? As a Zav emission. So you see that when it comes to Zav, you have the ability to kind of go ahead and connect things which even at first glance should not be connected. Therefore, again, Rav Yosef says, if he has 1 emission at night, two emission by day, even though we don't like the nighttime emissions for reasons we'll discuss, it works to go ahead and come up with a tally of 3. Ve'ilu chazi tartin achranaisa mitzarfiluhu amar Rav Sheshes Bered Ravidi midi area. I don't think you could compare that. Re'ir rishon midi area. Re'ir rishon shazav chazi bisman chiyuva. So ultimately, again, when the zav has his first emission, he saw it at a time where, technically speaking, there would be liability, i.e., by day. Achas balayla came with the lav zman chiyuva chazia ilav dashmo inon Rabbi Yochanan de mitzaref havamina lo titzaref. But Rabbi say nighttime. Interestingly enough, nighttime we would assume is not normally a time where you could have a halachically meaningful zav emission, right? And therefore, again, Rabbi Yochanan tells you that it is mitzaref. Umir Rabbi Yochanan laila mechusar zman. So we'll say, does Rabbi Yochanan really hold that laila is mechusar zman? In other words, we'll say that at night, remember, Mechusar Zman refers specifically to these situations where I've left the specifically mandated time period. Let's say by the Oledes, it's night 81. By the Zav, it's night 8. Yet Rabbi Yochanan says that it's Mechusar Zman. I can't yet bring a carbon, therefore the period of time is still considered to be open. Why is that significant? Because now if some other event occurs that night, then what? It's counted as part of the still open event and not reckoned as its new separate event. Nitma bayomevi. If he becomes tamei by day, this is actually talking about a nazir. Nazir becomes tamei by day. This is actually talking about a very specific case. This is a nazir who became tamei, and then what happens? Goes through the process of tara, and on the night before, so now his period of tara ended. It's that night. And then the next day he's supposed to bring his carbon. He becomes tamei again when? That night. So it's similar to the case of the Oledes that we're dealing with, similar to the case of the Zav. Nitma balayla. Mevi. If he becomes tamei that day before he brought his carbon, he has to bring a second carbon. Balayla, at night, Eino Mevi. Rabbi Yochanan says no, even at night if he became tamei, ultimately again once nightfall occurs, the period of his tara is over, and therefore if he becomes tamei again, that is reckoned separately. Kima Rabbi Yochanan, supposed to say Rabbi Yochanan holds that Laila is Mechusar. I'm sorry, that Laila is not Mechusar Zman. Kima Rabbi Yochanan beis balayla va'achas bayom eino mevi. So when did Rabbi Yochanan say that if he has two emissions at night and one by day that he doesn't bring, the divrei ha'omer mechusar zman? That's according to the opinion who says that nighttime is mechusar zman. The divrei ha'omer pshita. So that's obvious. Ra achas balayla beis bayom etzrichalei. No, I need the case by Zav of one who saw one emission by day and two at night. I'm sorry, I keep saying that wrong. One at night and two by day. It's tzrichalei ma'od tema. Kivan de la bisman chiyuva kachazile lo titztaref. Because I might have thought that even in a case where one saw one at night by zav and two by day, that they would not combine, since nighttime in general is not a time of carbonic liability. And therefore, you're going to say the havamina is, since nighttime is not a time of carbonic liability, therefore zivos should not be mitztaref if it occurs at night. Kamashal that it does. But it's kamashal that in a case of where there's one emission by night, two by day, that could ultimately be mitztaref, ultimately again for zivos. Beautiful. Mishnah. I apologize that we're moving quickly through these sugyas, but you'll chazer it. They're actually really incredible sugyas. Ha'isha sheishala safek heledos safek zivos. We'll say great case. A woman who has a situation of five doubtful leidos. We'll say, what does that mean? She's given birth 5 times, or miscarried 5 times, and what happens? Each time she's not sure again if halacha lamaisa, there is a obligation for carbon leda. Carbon leda. Or safek zivos. So Rabbi says she has 5 circumstances of what? 5 circumstances of possible zivos. So we'll say, what's the halacha? Mevia carbon echad va'ocheles bizvachim. We'll say the halacha is she brings one carbon for all of the sfekas, and as a result of that one carbon, she's able to go ahead and what? She's able to go, we'll say that she brings a chatas ha'of. Rashi points out, chatas ha'of is the one chatas that you could bring for a safek, and that chatas allows her to go ahead and eat of karbanos. Beautiful. And Rabbi say that one carbon takes care of all the sfekas. One carbon for many sfekas. Good. Hey zivas vados, hey leidos vados, mevia carbon echad v'ocheles bizvachim v'ashar lechova. We'll say contrast this with the following case. What happens if Baruch Shem woman gave birth 5 times? You're five times, well, she's 5 healthy children. She just never got around to bring your karbanos. Now she has 5 carbonic obligations. What's the halacha? All she needs to do is bring 1 in order to allow her to come into the Beis HaMikdash and partake of sacrificial items. But, what's the but? The other 4 are still obligatory upon her. So I will say 5 suffek leidos or suffek zivos, 1 karban takes care of all of the sveikas. By vadai, 1 karban allows her access to the Beis HaMikdash to eat of karbanos, but what? She is still obligated to bring the other 4. Listen to this incredible Gemara. Maaseh she'amdu kina b'Yerushalayim b'dinar zav. We'll say one time, bird pairs became very expensive. Yerushalayim, why? For gold, the pair of birds cost a gold dinar. We'll say, what's the pshat over here? Again, supply and demand. At the end of the day, birds are very common karbanos. Why? Because l'maaseh, again, they're given after birth, right? Birth, Baruch Hashem, is a pretty regular event. So what happens? So the price went up. I'm going to shipping Amil. So we'll say, here was the problem. So what's the parentheses in this? As a result of the incredible expensive cost of birds, what happened? Women stopped bringing their karban yoledes. So we'll say, watch this case. I swear by the Beis HaMikdash, I will not sleep tonight. I will not sleep until I bring down the cost of birds. So what did he do? Get ready for this. Nichnas lebezdin. He walked into the Beis Medrash and he paskin v'lamad ha'isha sheyesh la hey leidos vadaos hey zivos vadaos mevia karban echad va'ocheles bezvachim ve'ein hashar aleh chova. Rabbi say this is wild. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel walks in and he says, "Here's the new halacha." Rabbi say, obviously, there's much more to this, right? You can't just walk in. Well, you can't just walk in, right? I can't just walk in. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel can't just walk in. And he passed a new halacha. What's the new halacha? Even if a woman gave birth, 5 definitive births, Baruch Hashem, 5 healthy children, and she has not yet brought her karbanos leida, she can bring 1 karban for all of the birth. Now you understand what that does to the bird market in just a moment. Suddenly, again, now the problem is the market is going to be saturated with birds. So, of course, again, Baruch Hashem, now the bird prices come down. Va'amru kinin bayomahu. Bird prices went down on that day. Berivasayim. So, machlokes I should read rivasayim, but Pashas it means a quarter of a silver dinar. So, I will say, so it went from a bird pair for a gold dinar in one day to the quarter of a silver dinar. I will say, Rashi points out over here, Shimon Gamliel, how do you do this? How do you do this? So Rashi employs the concept of Eis Lasos Lashem Hefaro Sarasecha. Chazal sometimes have the ability to negate one mitzvah in order to go ahead and ensure the preservance of multiple mitzvahs. What was Rav Shimon Gamliel worried about over here, saying? If women aren't bringing their karbanos, what does that mean? They're not coming to the Beis HaMikdash. If they're not coming to the Beis HaMikdash, it's only a matter of time until who stops coming to the Beis HaMikdash? Their husbands. Come on, you know that one, right? If the wife is not going, chances are you might go the first year, right? It's like it'll come like Uman. A husband could get away with it maybe for 1 year, right? But how many years, right? How many years are you able to do that? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel understands that what's going to happen over here. If women are not bringing their karbanos, they're not coming. Their husbands aren't coming. The families aren't coming. There's going to be a fundamental spiritual erosion of the fabric of the Jewish community. So therefore, he felt it is better to abrogate one halacha of karban yoledes to preserve the general spiritual fabric of Am Yisrael. Quite incredible. There's a lot to speak about on that. This is just part of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in general. One of the hallmarks of his leadership. Also remember again, also for karban yoledes, who brought birds? Poor women, right? The rich did not bring birds. So also remember again, who did the bird prices really impact? Who do they really impact? The poor, who are already the marginalized of society. So Shimon Gamliel said over here, you're going to further marginalize the marginalized of society. You have to understand that's the sensitivity of a leader, right? The sensitivity of a leader is everybody likes to pay attention to the Anashim Chashuvim, right? To the Gevirim, of course. Everybody, I say, what about the people who are literally again in the gutter, on the periphery? The Mani Gador is concerning himself what's going to happen with the poor woman who can't bring her birds. Incredible. If we had more time. Like we were on Amud Beis. I can talk about this more. Says the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan. Hey leidos vados. Hey zivos safek. Hey leidos vaday. Hey zivos safek. Hey leidos vaday. Hey leidos safek. Mevia beis kinin. Achas ala vaday va'achas ala safek. Va'achas ala safek shal vaday. Sorry. So let's do that again. If women gave birth 5 leidos vaday, or hey zivos safek. Hey leidos vaday, the hey leidos safek. This is just a variation of the previous case. What's the halacha? Mevia beis kinin. She brings 2 bird pairs. Achas ala vaday v'achas ala safek. One for all the vaday cases, one for all the safek cases. Shal vaday ne'achalas. The vaday one is consumed. V'hashar aleh chova. And the rest are obligatory upon her. Shal safek in lechelas. Ultimately, again, the ones of safek are not consumed. Veina shar lechoba, and the rest are not obligatory upon her. We'll say that goes back to the Mishnah, right? Leaving aside Rabbi Shmuel Mil's takana. In general, the way it works is if you have multiple carbonic liabilities, right, vaday liabilities, all you need to do is what? Bring one to gain entry into the Beis Hamikdash. That's the good news. The rest are still obligatory upon you. By safek, one carbon could take care of what? Many sfekas. Shall safek im yesh vaday beinehen. But say in the case of safek, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer, avaday tomar al achrona v'tipater. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says that ultimately, again, on the case of vaday, she should bring the carbon on the last one, on the last event, and she'll be pater. Pater means halacha l'maisa. She'll still, Rashi says, achshav michiyuv shar karbanos. In other words, let her bring her carbon for the last event, let's say the last leida, and that'll pater for bringing the rest for now. She can go into the Beis Hamikdash, eat karbanos, and she'll bring the rest later. Shall safek im yesh vaday b'nein tomer ala vaday v'ti pater. So we'll say, if in the case of safek, if there's a vaday mixed in there, let her bring their carbon on the vaday, and she'll be pater. V'im lav tomer al achas mehen v'ti pater. And if not, let her assign the carbonic liability for one of the sfekos, and then she's pater on the rest. Rabbi Akiva Omer bein ala vaday bein ala safek tomer ala achas mehen v'ti pater. Rabbi Akiva says, whether the case of vaday, whether the case of safek, she could just say she's bringing the carbon for one of the events, need not specify. So we'll say what Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and Rabbi Akiva seem to be arguing about is as follows. In this case where you are bringing a carbon for multiple events, do you have to assign the carbon to a particular event or not? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says yes. You should assign, in the case of vaday, you should assign the carbon to the last event. In the case of safek, if there's a vaday mixed into the safek, assign it to the vaday. If not, assign it to a particular safek. Rabbi Akiva says you don't have to assign the carbon to any particular event. Just have in mind that you're bringing it for one of the vadays or for one of the sfekas. What are they arguing about? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is comparing these cases to a chatos. The man de chayiv hey chatos, if somebody is chayiv hey chatos, 5 chatos, ad demaisi kulun v'sof mechaperle. Ultimately, again, it's only once he brings all 5 chatos, and it is the last chatos, ultimately, that is mechaper for him. Hachanami loshna. So too, even though you only have to bring one carbon now, that carbon should be on the last event. Rabbi Akiva compares it to someone who is chayiv for multiple tevilas. Demand the mechayiv hey tevilas, somebody who's chayiv 5 different immersions for 5 different forms of tumah. What's the halacha? Kevan de tavel chadazimna iter. Well, so if you're chayiv 5 tevilas, right? As long as you go to the mikvah once, then what? Then halacha lamaisa, you're good. So the Gemara says, itar hachanami loshna, amar li Rav Papa, if Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri really says you compare this to chatas, amai shel safek, tomer al achas mehen v'ti pater. Ultimately, why do you have to set it up on a case of safek? Say whichever one you assign it to, and you'll be pater. Ilu man de mechayiv amid beis chamesh hashamos teluyin ki maisi chad mi miftar. So we'll say if a person is chayiv 5 asham teluyins, right? If he brings one of them, is he pater? V'atanya ze'aklal kol shechalukin bechatos chalukin ba'ashamas ela duchuli amal letvilos medamilan. Rather, Rabbi say in reality, everyone agrees that when you have 5 different liabilities, it's like going to the having 5 different immersion liabilities. Well, so what does this mean? When you have this works best in the case of vaday, right? In the case of where a woman, let's say, had 5 children, Baruch Hashem, 5 healthy children, she has to bring 5 karbanos leida. 5 karbanos leida. So we'll say, so what's the halacha? Everyone agrees. So what's the halacha? She brings one. That allows her entry into the Beis Hamikdash. And now what? You have to go ahead and bring the other 4. So Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Akiva say this. Rabbi Yochanan says that she should say the carbon that I'm bringing is on the last birth. On the last birth. Rabbi Akiva says no. She just has to say the carbon that I'm bringing is for a birth. She doesn't have to assign it to a particular birth. They're both agreeing that what? Obviously, you have to bring the other 5 karbanos, the other 4 karbanos. And they also agree that just like Tefillah, all you need is 1 karban to gain you entry into the Beis HaMikdash. So what are they arguing about? Here we go. So the Gemara says, They both say the shaila is, do we have to be worried that the woman is going to forget to bring her the remaining 4 karbanos? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri savar chayshin l'pshia. Rabbi Akiva savar lo chayshin l'pshia. So listen to this interesting idea. Rabbi Yochanan says, I am concerned that she's not going to bring her last 4 karbanos. And therefore, what Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, therefore, I want her to explicitly say what? Say what? This karban is for the last birth. Because what does that remind her? What does that ensure? What does that ensure? That she knows that there's 4 more births for which she has never brought a karban. That reminds her. Rabbi Akiva says, the woman knows that she has to bring 5 karbanos. And even if she does not articulate that this karban is for a particular birth, we know that she's going to make good on the rest of her karbanos. So we'll say that's fundamental machlokes. Hadron aloch, shloshim v'shesh. We'll say mazel tov. Arba mechusei kapara. We'll say, here we go. So remember again, this is what we said before, different types of chatos. Some types of chatos are brought for a sin. That's a classic chatos. Another type of chatos, which is the case of Leda, is brought from a chusar kapara, right? Which is, Rabbi say that, remember, the woman who gave birth hasn't committed an aveira, so she's not chayavis for anything, but rather she needs the chatos in order to affect her kapara, in order to go ahead and allow her to enter the Beis HaMikdash. So there are 4 that are mechusei kapara. The arba mavin ala zadon kishogeg, and 4 people who bring a chatos in a case of mezid, like a case of shogiv. But say here are the people who are mechusari kapara. Hazov v'azava, zav and azava. Hayoledes, woman gives birth. Mitzora. And Mitzora, we'll say these are the 4. So these are 4 cases where a person has to bring a chatos. They haven't done an aveira, they haven't committed an aveira. But yet they have to bring a chatos in order to partake of karbanos. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer ger mechusar kapara ad sheyizrak alav adam. So we'll say, interestingly enough, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says a ger is considered mechusar kapara, which means we'll say even after a ger converts. We'll say we don't know this because we don't have a Beis HaMikdash now, but part of conversion ultimately is a karban. You have to bring a karban. So we'll say, so Rabbi Eliezer says that a ger is mechusar kapara. He cannot eat of sacrificial items until his carbon of gerus is brought. Nazir lieno v'tagalachto titumoso. We'll say a nazir can't go ahead and drink wine, cut his hair, or go to a cemetery ultimately again until he goes ahead and brings his carbon. We'll just do one line of the Gemara. Maishna zav zava the money lahom betrain. We'll say, why is it that zav and zava are reckoned separately? We'll say, actually, we'll stop over here. Today I am going to record until the 2 dots, because otherwise you won't have a fighting chance for tomorrow. So we'll say we'll stop over here. I'll put out Amud Beis ultimately in just a little bit. Shkoyach. I'm gonna